Apparently, the U.S. and Qatar are working out the final details of a gift, a big gift, a giant luxury 747 aircraft that President Trump is reportedly going to accept, and the military is going to convert into being able to use as Air Force One, and then it may end up at the Trump Presidential Library after he leaves office. How do you feel about this gift?
That it is brazen corruption, a violation of the Constitution, the Foreign Emoluments Clause. It is a gift from a foreign government that is expressly not permitted under the Constitution. And given that Donald Trump, as we know, is purely transactional, this gift, which ultimately will go to him, it's not for the United States, of course curries favor with him. And perhaps there is not a specific official act that he has taken in return for that payment, such that our current state of public corruption law would not apply. And of course, he's immune because the Supreme Court has given him criminal immunity. But this is just the latest reflection of an egregious, corrupt presidency that is using the office of the presidency for his personal gain. This is the latest one, $400 million, $2 billion crypto deal where Donald Trump himself is prepped to make tens or hundreds of millions of dollars from it, from a foreign country-backed deal. This is beyond anything that we've ever seen. And the fact that, from my vantage point, John, as a former 10-year DOJ career prosecutor, to see that the Attorney General has signed off on this on one of the most pathetic and weak legal analyses I've ever seen, just underscores how far down the Department of Justice has fallen, and how much in trouble we are that Donald Trump has really just remade our government for his own personal interest.
Can we put that Truth Social post back up on the screen here so I can read it to the congressman in case he hasn't seen it yet? Because the president seems to be responding to the type of criticism that you're making here. He says, so the fact that the Defense Department is getting a gift free of charge, and gift free of charge is all capitalized, of a 747 aircraft to replace the 40-year-old Air Force One temporarily in a very public and transparent transaction so bothers the crooked Democrats that they insist we pay top dollar for the plane. Anybody can do that. The Dems are world-class losers. MAGA. So that's what the president says. Your response?
It's laughable at this point. First of all, temporarily is a key word there, because ultimately it will go to Donald Trump. But this is not Democrats opposing what's a great deal. This is just people following the Constitution. There is a reason that it says in the Constitution that no president can accept a gift from a foreign government, because we want to be sure that the president of the United States is always acting in the sole interest of the United States and not on behalf of a foreign country. Well, if Qatar is giving him a $400 million gift now, who knows what else they're going to give him? And there's no question that his view of Qatar and the Middle East, with UAE now backing his own crypto deal, that is shaded. And we're left here to wonder, well, is he doing this because he got $400 million Golden Palace? Or is he doing this because it's in the best interest of the United States? That's the point of the Foreign Emoluments Clause, is to ensure that there's no question. And so he can try to explain it away as some deal. Oh, I got such a great deal, it's a gift, I don't have to pay for it. But the United States government is not a real estate company. We are much, much bigger than that, much more important than that, and many more other considerations, including geopolitical, that Donald Trump just doesn't understand and is really jeopardizing our legitimacy worldwide, and is clearly using this office for pure corruption.
Do you think that he is violating the Constitution with this? And will your committee, the Judiciary Committee, be overseeing this, investigating it?
Look, the Republicans control the Senate, and so we will have a hard time getting the majority on the Judiciary Committee to agree that we should be investigating whether this is a violation of a clause of the Constitution that says we should not accept gifts from foreign princes, kings, and potentates, the Emoluments Clause. This is almost exactly the sort of gift that our founders had in mind that Americans shouldn't accept. And I'll remind you, other federal employees can't accept even $50. They can't accept anything from a foreign agent of a foreign country, but they can't accept anything worth more than $50 from a lobbyist or from an American, let alone $400 million. And the details of this deal are not transparent. As it's been reported, the intention is to give it not just for the president's use while he's president, but then to his future library so that he can continue to fly around in this plane. It's apparently a luxurious, modern 747, but the President of the United States already has two versions of Air Force One, which has important national security features to defend the plane against attack, to be able to manage our global military in the event of a crisis. And there's no way to guarantee that this plane, even though Qatar is a trusted partner and ally, there's no way to guarantee this plane doesn't have devices embedded within it that might compromise our security.
On another topic, the Trump administration is preparing to accept a super luxury Boeing jumbo jet from the royal family of Qatar as a gift to be used as the new Air Force One. Four sources familiar with the planning tell NBC News. According to one of the sources, the arrangement will be done according to U.S. and international laws in observance of ethics rules. Ownership of the plane will then be transferred to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation once his second term ends, two of the sources confirmed. Trump confirmed the gift on social media yesterday while criticizing Democratic lawmakers who say it's another example of him using the presidency to enrich himself. So, Richard, first of all, how unusual would this be? How much of a potential conflict of interest is there? And the reporting that this goes to the Presidential Library, would that then mean actually to Donald Trump to be able to fly as much as he wanted, wherever he wanted?
Unusual is a good example of British understatement, Kathy, and I want to thank you for it. It is beyond unusual. Look, this would be a massive gift. This is from Qatar to the United States. In the short run, there's questions of security. The idea that Air Force One would be coming from another country and all the considerations that go into it. This is not, shall we say, simply a normal airplane. It is configured in all sorts of ways for what it can defend against and what it's able to carry out from when it's up in the air. And then, yes, it would be transferred in, several years to the Presidential Foundation, which would then, this would become an aircraft there for the personal use for then the former president of the United States. And the idea that it's not inconsistent with U.S. law, as the Attorney General and one of the lawyers seem to have said, because the quid pro quo is not explicit. That doesn't pass the seriousness test, because obviously this would mean that the government transferring the plane would get certain considerations, or we couldn't be sure that they didn't. So I could. It's hard to imagine that people would not be. Let me put it that way. Would not be uncomfortable with this. And just as an aside, 10 seconds. We began the show with talking about Newark. Well, what is wrong with Boeing? The idea that this is even on the agenda, that you have a company, one of the major companies in the United States, that can produce a functioning Air Force One on time and remotely in the zip code of the budget. The fact that this is even contemplated seems to me something seriously wrong.
Yeah, I mean, certainly no doubt that delays with the new Air Force One, frustrating to a lot of presidents of either party. But yeah, Joe, I mean, to Richard's point here a moment ago about this uncertainty, even if there's no explicit quid pro quo, the fact that we even have to ask those questions in the years to come are exactly why this sort of thing has always been prohibited. So therefore, President, there wouldn't be concern about undue influence and the like. And I know we play the game a lot of like, what would it be like under another administration? But we just spent 4 years hearing about the, quote, Biden crime family and Hunter Biden allegedly in efforts to enrich themselves. And now we have this aircraft being gifted to the president for his personal use, both before and after his time in office. I mean, I suspect we're going to hear a lot from Democrats in the days ahead about this, to them anyway, appears untoward.
So, and David Ignatius, I just want to go to you on another issue that Richard brought up, which was actually the first thing that came to mind to me. Obviously, there are going to be the ethical concerns that Congress is going to talk about. But well, first of all, an American company not being able to deliver Air Force One in a way that is on time and that meets the specs in a way that the presidents want them to. But number two, I'm just curious about the security concerns. Again, letting another country build Air Force One for our American president to fly around on. I would think that would make most people in the national security community deeply unsettled.
Yeah, like having a stomach ache or wanting to throw up. I mean, they're charged with making sure that this space in which the president and his closest advisors discuss the most sensitive issues of policy is secure. How you would do that with a plane provided entirely by another country where surveillance devices, systems, new technologies we may not even be aware of could be embedded in the plane. You'd have to take the darn thing apart and put it back together before you really felt secure about it. So, that's a whole other category of problems.
This is why we've seen impeachment charge talk against Trump. This is why Trump's already been hit with the impeachment wand, if you will. From Democratic congressmen and senators. You've seen John Ossoff talk about it, and you've also seen Al Green talk about it. Now, it's not just because of this. There's a whole bunch of reasons. His attack on the Constitution domestically, but this is a violation of the emoluments clause that's a bit much even for Trump. Do you remember that, unlike with Biden, remember Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to impeach Biden on day one of his presidency, right? But with Trump all the way back in his first presidency, I'm not trying to be hypocritical here, there was a justification to impeach Trump on his very first minute in office because he was already clearly, at least according to some sources, making deals to enrich himself via the office of the president. That he was accepting money through his companies, people doing business at his companies and whatnot. Maybe the business was legitimate, maybe it wasn't, but it was still accepting business at his companies from foreign government individuals and the states themselves, and that's a big no-no. The whole point in the Constitution is that the president cannot accept gifts from foreign kings, foreign princes, foreign governments, because it puts them in a situation, even if they don't actually do anything wrong, it puts them in the optical situation that now it's like, are you governing on behalf of the American people and the Constitution, or are you governing on behalf of the person that gave you the gift? This is why, guys, when the president gets any gift more than like $300, it's not his. Because even if you get like a $350 sculpture, that's not yours because they want it to be so serious about respecting this. This is why Trump, one of the reasons why he's getting hit with the impeachment wand from Democrats right now, saying it's time, Donald, because accepting a plane from a government with, let's say, spotty human rights records is bad even for him.